Manx Radio Sport.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Saturday Sport Classified on Manx Radio. I'm Dave Moore. Coming up, football, hockey and rugby. So the headlines tonight: Russian United's title hopes take a massive dent. The top two in the Women's Premier League in hockey fail to win. And Douglas are denied by a point in Regional 2 Northwest Rugby. We'll be hearing from Dave Christian and Ben Cunningham on rugby and hockey respectively later in the programme. Plus we'll be looking forward to tonight's FC Isle of Man game with commentator Rob Pritchard against Winsford United. But before we do any of that, we'll give you a classified check on today's local sporting results. Starting with the E-Cap FA Cup, and it was Corinthians 4, Braddon 0. In the Canada Life Premier League, Douglas High School Old Boys 1, St John's United 2, Laxey 6, Russian United 3, Morown 2, Douglas Royal 2, Onchan 1, Union Mills 5, and St George's 0, Peel 1. On to DPS Limited Division 2. And Castletown 13, Douglas Athletic 0, Colby 1, Michael United 4. On to Canada Life Combination 1, Douglas Royal 1, Morown 1. Russian United 7, Laxey 0. Union Mills 0, Onchan 8. And DPS Limited Combination 2, Douglas and District 2, Braddon 2, Michael United 4, Colby 1. And moving on to rugby. And with Regional 2 Northwest, Douglas 22, Winnington Park 23. The counties 3 ADM Lancashire Cheshire, Vagabonds 17, Hoylake 45. In the women's NC1 Northwest, Vagabonds 22, Halifax 37. The Ravenscroft Manx Trophy, Ramsey Reds 31, Western Vikings and Eastern Barbarians 65. And a friendly between Vagabonds under-15s and Winnington Park under-15s was Vagabonds 36, Winnington Park 67. Turning now to hockey in the Ladies Premier League, Valkyries 7, Castletown B 0. Vikings 1, Castletown 1. Men's Premier League, Vikings 0, Castletown 0. Valkyries 3, Backers B 0. Backers 10, Ramsey 1. Ladies Division 1, Vikings B 0, Valkyries B 3. Backers B 6, Ramsey 2. And Harlequins against Backers C is a late result. Men's Division 1, Harlequins 12, Harlequins B 1. And Vikings B, Valkyries B, another late result. Ladies Division 2, Valkyries C 1, Castletown D 3, and Ramsey B against Harlequins B was a home win. And Castletown C, Viking C, late result. Men's Division 2, Castletown B 4, Backers Colts 2, Ramsey B against Backers C, a home win. In the Mixed Under-15s League, Vikings 0, Harlequins 5, Backers 4, Castletown Sharks 0, and a late result for Valkyries against Castletown Sabres. So we'll be hearing, as I said, from Ben Cunningham on hockey later in the programme, and we'll have a rugby report from Dave Christian. But we will begin, as ever, with football. We say good evening, Tony Mepham. And Tony, I think before we get into the league, let's start with the FA Cup, because that was a big win for essentially your team, Corinthians. Unexpected, but again, job done, 4-0.
Yeah, it's just one of those, because you can go into a game too confident and it can cost you dearly in those 90 minutes. But, Bradner are a good side, an improving side every week, as we say, because the young team, a lot of young players there, 16, 17-year-olds. And today they frustrated Corinthians, I think, at the start. But then Ryan Gotland got the first, and then it was Luke Murray who came off the bench, and he scored to make it 2-0. And then Luke Murray got the third, and then Ryan Gartland got the fourth. So comfortable win in the end, but it just gives Braddon a pointer, Dave, of if they do get promoted, what sort of quality they're going to face next year.
And also as well, just if anyone's wondering about the FA Cup, the draw will be made next week.
Draw's done for this one, because this was an outstanding game that was left over, but there is a draw next week, Dave.
That's what's for next week, yeah.
We've got the ECAP FA Cup quarterfinals, and we're all set up down in Brook. One of them, we met with them this week, and they're going to do the draw next Saturday for the semi-finals, and the finals posted down for Easter Saturday.
We've got to start really up at Laxey. What a game. 6-3 to Laxey against Russian United. And that's a massive blow to Russians' title hopes.
Yeah, I don't think, to be fair, Dave, Russian in themselves thought, I know what you're saying, until...
I know I'm bigging it up, but because, even so.
Because they did ever so well, and it was the old man again, Aaron Hall, who got the 2 goals for Russian to give them the 2-0 lead, and it was looking pretty good, but Laxey just battled back, and it was a real good battle in the end, and just trying to find out some information on the way the scoring went, because it was Hawley who made it 1-0, I think it was. Yeah, Hawley got the second one, and then it was just a battle and to and fro of who was going to sort of take the lead. Will Cowan got 2 of the goals for Laxey. Brodie Patience got 1. Ethan Hawley, now that's Aaron Hawley's nephew. Wow. So it was Ethan, I think, who gave Russian the lead. I think he got the 4th one. And Sammy Gallen got 1 and Joe Walters got the other one. So that's a great performance. The other goal for Russian was an own goal. Mm-hmm. But it just shows you, when Laxey, when it comes together, they're a side to be reckoned with. And it's so frustrating. When you look at those players there, Will Cowan's been kicking around for a while. He's still a young lad, but an excellent player and getting better. Brodie Patience is an Ireland player. We know that. Ethan Hawley's just turned 16 not long ago and is playing really well. Sammy Gellen's not only an excellent boxer, but a great footballer. And Joe Walters is tremendous when he's fit. So it's a great result for them. But, it's getting that consistency going, Dave, to keep them climbing up that table. But today, with those 3 points, they move above Russian.
So let's talk about Russian United then, because a year ago they were in a title race with Ayr United. They edged ahead, but Russian were really strong. But that's their 7th league defeat this season. What's going on at Russian?
Yeah, it is. I think certainly Russian will look at it. Players
they're one of the giants of Manx football.
They are, and at the moment, for Davies, FC Isle of Man. Then you've got Mikey Williams, FC Isle of Man. You've got Alex Maitland, FC Isle of Man. Dean Kearns, FC Isle of Man. It's not hurting them. FC Isle of Man's fault.
I know, we've talked about this many times, but yeah.
The boys make the choice where they want to play, but it just sort of penalised them a little bit. But I think, certainly the run that they've had lately, Nick Robinson's had them playing really well, scoring good goals and just playing with a bit of swagger, if that's the right word. But, today that's a big blip. Okay, to lose to Laxey, no it's not, but to lose by, 3 goals, 6-3, is a big dent in their armour, and they'll be frustrated that they couldn't keep marching on, because they've got a massive cup game now next week at home against Corinthians, and that's going to be a belter.
So back to last September, we're sat here, and someone says to you, come March, Union Mills will be second in the Premier League. A 5-1 win away at Onken today. That makes, because Corinthians obviously played in the Cup today, but Mills are now, okay, they've played 4 games more than Corinthians, but they are now second in the Premier League.
Yeah, Union Mills have actually played 5 games more now.
Oh, it's 5, is it?
5 games now. So, that's incredible. But let's give credit to the team because they had a bit of a blip just, around Christmas time, just after Christmas. But they've got together. If you could text us through, please, your score is 166 177. It'd be handy. But again, Onken today frustrated them a little bit from what I heard. But then once they got going, they were flying. And when you look at defensively, they're strong. But up front is where it all happens. I know Jordan Crawley didn't play last week, but if he played today, him, Luke Booth and Tyler Hughes, they're lethal in front of goal. And midfield works so hard. And the boys just finish it. And Luke Booth, one of the goals I saw him score a couple of weeks ago, absolutely fantastic. He's on fire.
Mm-hmm. Peel obviously played more games than Corinthians again, but they're getting the points in the bag.
They are, and let's go back to Onken. Aaron Christian, it was, who got the goal,
yep.
But certainly today, the Peel and St George's game, I watched this one, Dave, and there was a lot of chances. 2 great saves by Johnny Myers. Johnny Myers was in goals today because he struggled with an injury. They had no keeper. But Johnny pulled off 2 belting saves, one to his left, one to his right, and just kept them out. And then it looked as if Peel were going to be given a penalty, but the referee didn't give it, and that's fine. Thomas Brown came across and looked as if the defender clipped him, but the referee's in a good position. And in the second half, Peel had so many chances, but St George's managed to just block them or just restrict them, and one hit the bar and came down and cleared off the line, and another one hooked off the line, and Johnny Myers saved another one away from the line. And then when the penalty shout on 89 minutes, Sean Quay looked as if he sort of held back the forward, couldn't make him jump. And it was Paul Whitehead who stepped up to take it, put it to the goalkeeper's right-hand side. Johnny chose the right way to go to, but Johnny's not the tallest of players, so just couldn't quite reach it. It's a shame, really, because the game just had 0-0 written all over it because Peel had no luck. St George's kept chipping away, and the way it was, Peel got the 3 points, and probably on chances that they had was deserved, Dave.
But isn't that the way football goes, Tony, when things are going well in these kind of games, and when things aren't going well, you lose 1-0 to pretty much a last-minute penalty.
Yeah.
And as I say, and that's how titles are won. I mean, Arsenal again, you just say, with the 97th winner, you think if they win the Premier League, the English Premier League by a point, and again with Corinthians have still got to play those games in hand, of course, but this is a big 3 points for Peel.
It's a huge 3 points because I think they knew it was going to be tricky. I spoke to 1 or 2 of the committee members before the game today and just said this is a huge game for us because St George's, Sean Quay, Kieran McNulty, Chris Bass, Josh Kane, Morgan Naylor, Ashley Higginbottom. When you see those sort of players, Julian Ringham, you just thought, yeah, it is. But Chris Bass took a bit of a knock and Johnny Quirk took a knock and you just thought this is going to go to Peel. But no, it's huge and this is what happens, Dave. There's still a lot of games to play. And when you look at it, that's Peel's 18th game. They've only got 6 left to play. As where Corinthians have only played 14. They've got 10 to play. And you just can't see Corinthians winning all them games to put them in the mix with it. And, to me, it's between Peel and Corinthians because Union Mills now have played 19. 1 game more than Peel, and they're
14 points behind.
So it's just it's frustrating for them, but it's the way it goes.
St George's. I keep mentioning this. We did we say 14 points was the magic mark? We think
14 points.
Yeah, and they're on 17, and too good to go down, and too far ahead to go down. Even though they've played a lot more games than all the teams below them, apart from Douglas Royal. They're not going to get sucked in now, are they?
I don't think they will. And the players are there good enough, to get the points. And, they've been a huge club over the years and they've got no combination side at the moment. The only thing I look at it is you've got sort of Kieran McNulty will keep chipping away, but, Sean Quay, Chris Bass, they're 30, 39, I think. So do they carry on? They've got young children who want to come through and play football. So it's a difficult time for them. Johnny Myers, starting to pick up the injuries now because, again, they're all the same age, 39. So it's one of those. But, they're a good club and hopefully they can rebuild, get a combination side and then, get two teams up and running again.
An excellent point for Douglas Royal today away at Moran. Now, normally you would kind of maybe expect a 2-2 result, but the situation that Royal are in, similar to St George's, every point counts.
Well, it does, and that's what you've got to do is when the pressure's on, is try and get them. And there's going to be more and more games like this, Dave, coming up. And I've got a bit of a match report on this one, if I can find it. And it's well written by a professional broadcaster, so you would expect it to have a lot of detail in, and it has. And it's from Rob Pritchard. Thanks, Rob, for putting it through to us. For Classified, it was Moran 2, Douglas Royal 2. Moran 1-0 up at half-time with a close-range header from Conor Gilbert in the first minute, but chances were very few during the rest of the first half. In the second half, Royal equalised with 5 minutes through a well-taken low strike from Andy Asbridge after some neat link-up play with Simon Dooley. Royal then took the lead with just over 15 minutes left when Asbridge got his second, slotting home 18 yards after a precise through ball from Dominic McCarry-Brennan. Moran responded well and had Royals penned into the own half and got their equaliser in the last 10 minutes when Mikey Callister crossed from the left, deflected into the path of Tom Redmond, and on the left, who volleyed low past the keeper into the bottom corner. Overall, draw probably a fair reflection of a game which there wasn't much to separate both sides. But then also there was a little thing that came in on it, was that Royal to Moran 1, tough place to go and get points. This is from Douglas Royal to Moran, and a draw was about the right result. And what was nice about it was Stuart Neen, the referee, handled the game, a very difficult game, excellently as usual. So congratulations to Stu, and well done to both teams for putting a show on.
So, as I say, and really a big point for Moran as well, because they're just above the relegation zone. But it's kind of, I mentioned St George's, it does look like a four-way fight to avoid the drop. And we'll come to the other game in a moment, which was, if anyone really did need a result today, it was Douglas High School Old Boys, and they came close, but St John's United just pipping them.
Yeah, it is, and Callum Taggart once again. Callum got the first, Callum got the second for St John's, but it went 1-1. And it was thanks to Dean Turton, Alex Andresi, I think it is, it was from a corner, but Veggie flapped in his own goal or something. I think that one. Yeah, Old Boys 1-2. And 16 years of age, playing his first team debut, so well done to him. But St John's, the combination side played last night and they won 5-1, but the first team today, with Dean Lease playing for FC Isle of Man tonight, not available. But Callum's taken the responsibility and staying fit. That's the main thing for Callum. Is a great goal scorer, great player, but fitness-wise, at times he can get caught out and be missing for a few weeks. But today he got the 3 points for Johners.
Yeah, the draw between Douglas Royal and Moran kind of keeps them both in there. A win for either might have just edged them out, but it's looking not so good for Onken, and it's not looking so good for Old Boys, although it's still a lot of points available on the board and not much to make up at the bottom there.
Yeah, well, you look at Onken. Onken have got games in hand. They've got 4 games in hand on, or was it
Douglas
3
Royal.
games in hand?
They've got 4 on Royal, they've got 2 on Moran, and 2 on Old Boys as well. So Onken have got lots of games in hand, but, games in hand doesn't put you at it gives you the opportunity to rise up, but you've got to get them points.
Of course you have, and that's the problem with it all, is because great result last week for Onken when they drew 2-2 with Ayr United, but they'll be playing against these teams at the bottom, and as I've said now, we're in the business end of the season now, so everyone's battling for every point to try and survive in this kind of like Premier League.
And you've got to say, really, maybe Onken are battling that they've drawn more games than any other team in the Premier League. Yeah,
and the promoted side from last year, and deservedly so. Very young team.
Yeah.
But it's one of them. You've just got to let the players develop and see how it goes.
Who has lost more Premier League games this season? Okay, they may have played more, but who has played more? Who has lost more league games between Union Mills and Onken?
Probably Union Mills.
Union Mills are second in the table. Onken are second bottom.
Yeah.
Mills have lost 7 games this season.
Yeah.
And I think I've got Onken on 6. Maybe it might be 7 now. It might be the same. Actually, it could be the same amount. But even so, that's incredible. And it just goes to show, win or bust, or just claw those points. That's football.
Well, it is, because you're going back to St George's, and you look at Ayr United. They didn't play today. They've only played 16. But now St George's have played 17, Douglas Royal have played 17, Brown have played 15, and Onken have played 14, and Old Boys have played 15.
Yeah.
So there's still plenty of games in there, Dave. 24 they play, so there's still 9 games to play.
Sorry, as I say, I hadn't got the Onken result on here, so it is actually 7 defeats for them. So there's exactly the same number of defeats as the team as Union Mills.
Yeah.
But Union Mills have won 10. Onken have only won 2.
And well done to Paul Guyver. Let's give him some credit, because he left coaching at Old Boys to take the number 1 job, if you like, at Union Mills, and he's done a really good job. But when they had that blip, it's like anything, it's then getting the players back into sync again to challenge for what they deserve. Because let's face it, to have them second in the league at the moment, they've got a Railway Cup semi to play when we can get that played. So well done to them.
Only a couple of games in Division 2 today. Castletown romping to a 13-0 win over Douglas Athletic.
Just to put some meat on the bones, thanks, Steve. I've just got the goal scorers for Union Mills. Tyler Hughes with a hat-trick.
Yeah, and Luke Booth got 2.
I've
got a note on that as well.
So
there you go.
Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah, so Castletown, 13 times they found the net against Douglas Athletic.
Yeah, and it was only, a couple of games ago that Douglas Athletic conceded 10 as well in one of the games. I think it might have been against St Mary's, but today, that's a tough one. 6-0 at half-time. Nathan Cardy with 4, Edson De Silva with 4, Alex Crawley got 2 of the goals, Adam Lane got 1, Ollie Shearer and Fingal Watterson got the other one. So big statement by Castletown. They're challenging at the top of the table. They've still got games in hand, but St Mary's, Michael and Braddon looking over the shoulders now with this form that Castletown are showing.
Yeah, that does keep Castletown there 3rd in the table, but not too far behind Michael United. So it is still a 4-way fight, and the fact that Mary's have played a couple of games more than the teams just below them. So it's I think we talked a few weeks ago that it was looking more like a 2-horse race, but that it really is becoming a 4-way fight now. Yeah,
it is. I think certainly the problem is Braddon have been held up with a league game today because they had the cup game. Michael lost out to Castletown last week, so that was a bit of a show. But where the tricky one, Dave, is when the backlog of fixtures starts to try and clear, where you've got night games and stuff, people being available. There's always some silly results that turn up, and that's when the pressure really shows.
And Michael United was the other win today, 4-1.
Yeah, good performance, this one, and a little bit of report on this one if I can find it. And it was Colby 1, Michael 4, Liam Kane with 3, Kieran Lane with the other goal. 3 goals inside the first 5 minutes gave the Greens a commanding lead. Second half, Colby came back into the game and got one back, but Michael still controlled the game. Liam Kane with a hat-trick. So well done to them, and back on form after last week's shock result.
Into the Canada Life Combination 1 we go, and they keep marching on. Rushden United, another victory today. Maximum points so far this season, 7-0 this time over Laxey.
Yeah, and when you look at their stats, you're getting a bit like Rob now.
When you look thanks.
At their stats, now they've played 15 and won 15, drawn none and lost none. So absolutely incredible. And, to me, it's just waiting for them to win this league. But today, 7-0 against Laxey. Laxey 6th in the league, so good performance. Joe Reid with 2 of the goals. Luke Roberts as well, one of the league's top goal scorers with a couple. Steve Harris with 1, Jamie Cadwallader, and Chris Shimon on the score sheet as well. So another great result for Rushden.
Just briefly on that, I mean, I don't know if we can talk about this or not, but with Rushden United, their first team are doing okay. Their combination are doing fantastic. Are there players in the combination that should be in their first team, or the first team players playing in the combination to win the? Is the fact that nothing's going to really happen in the Premier League for them this season? That let's go for glory in the combination, or are they putting their best team out in the Premier League?
I look at Rushden's team. I looked at it last week, and I think it's pretty good. When I look at Jamie Cadwallader, he's a first-team player, but I don't think it's Jamie's choice. I think it's just, if you're not playing well, Nick will put you in the combination side. Joe Reid's been playing for the first team, a couple of goals. Luke Roberts has always scored goals wherever he's gone, and I think Luke's just happy enough in the combination. But Steve Harris, Chris Shimon, Chris has been about, he plays the first team, but it's one of them, as you get a little bit older, you've got other commitments and stuff, and I'm not saying Chris is that old, but he's still a good player. So no, people do say that to me. Oh, they're concentrating. They want to win the Combination League. But when I look at sort of the first team now with Stevie Ridings in there, you've got Lazaridis in there. You've got other players, quality in there. Luca Moretta. If you don't let these good players, play. Where they want to play, where they're happy.
Well, this is
what age they are.
That's what I'm going to come to next. I mean, so someone like Cadwallader, I'm just using him as an example. Is it better to have him playing full 90 in the combination or sitting on the bench for the Premier League fixture and he might not even get on?
Jamie's a first-team player, as far as I'm concerned, but I don't know if he's been injured or whatever.
But I'm not using him. I'm just using him as an example. I don't want to talk about him individually. I'm just, what do you do? Do you have the best squad for the Premier League, or do you kind of, get a couple of players on the bench that will do a job, but you say instead of having your top 14 ready for the Premier League fixture, you see the point I'm making.
So I think some players, it's them fringe players, Dave, who are fringe first team, and if they're not getting in, they say, well, I'll go and play in the combi. If the team is winning, like Russians is, then you want to play in the combi. But to me,
keeping everyone happy.
But to me, if you're involved in sport, you want to play for the best team that you're allowed to play for.
So if that means 2 minutes on a Saturday coming off the bench for the Premier League as opposed to a full run out in the combi.
But that's the player's choice, and that's the management's choice, because I think management are usually pretty good. When they see that they can't give a certain player a regular sort of shot at playing, starting and having good minutes, then he'll say, listen, do you want to run out in the combi? And, if you're dropping down at the Russians combination, I'm not saying it's exact like first team, but it's a good team. Yeah. So you'd go in there and give it a bash, but it's up to the individual.
All right. I'm waffling on as usual.
No, not at all. It's interesting questions. It's good.
Okay, so let's get to the other games as well. Onken with an 8-0 win against Union Mills.
That's a brilliant result, and if you could text us through, please, 166177. Just with the goal scorers for Onken, they're usually pretty good, but obviously the person who does it might be away. But that's a cracker result that for Onken.
And 1-1 between Royal and Moran.
Yeah, that's all the information I've got. Thanks, Fitzy, for the score. But again, if you've got the goal scorers, it'll be handy.
And we'll go into DPS Limited Combination 2 and some games in here. A couple of games. We'll start off with Michael winning 4-1 against Colby.
Yeah, I think you've got one at the top of the sheet there, Dave. Ayr 2, Corinthians 5. Danny Oram with 2. Danny Oram actually won the league and everything. Don't worry. Won the league and everything with Ayr United last year and transferred back to Corinthians this year. He got 2. Joe Middleton, usually watching Man United play, to be honest with you, but today he stayed on the island and played for Corinthians. And Tom Williams, another good young player coming through for Corinthians, got the other one. So 5-2 finish for Corinthians.
My apologies about that. So let's go into the combination 2 then. And as I said, 2-2 between Douglas and District. I said no. Oh, yeah, we'll do Douglas and District 2-2 with Braddon. Yeah,
1-1 at half-time. It was Douglas and District took the lead. Harry Stoll straight from the corner. And then Braddon got the equaliser. And then Braddon made it 2-1 until Dan Robson got a penalty in the last minute and held his nerve and scored as well. So it finished up D&D 2, Braddon 2. Haven't got Braddon's goal scorers.
Michael United 4-1 winners over Colby.
Was good performance by Michael today. Carl Moore with 1, Nathan Farragher with a goal, Conor Gordoni and John Workman completed the scoring.
Excellent. Okay, I think that's it.
We got Foxdale, Jim's 1, Foxdale 4.
Again,
Charlie's Samachuba, I think it is, with 2. Callum Wade got 1. And Barton Bowman. And don't forget the Pulrose v St Mary's. Big derby down there at Groves Road, Springfield Road. 0-0 at half-time. So Pulrose put in a commanding performance. But in the second half, St Mary's. 3 goals from James McGinn. And Liam Bowley completed the scoring with a 4-0 win for St Mary's.
And just with combination 2, it's between Ramsey Youth Centre, Maloo and St Mary's at the top of the division.
Yeah, it is. And, Ramsey Youth Centre have won it before. So we'll see how it goes. But when you look at it with St Mary's have only played 15. So if they played their 2 games in hand, they would actually go top. But if Maloo won their 1 game in hand, they would go on to 41 points. So ahead of St Mary's and Ramsey Youth Centre.
Lots of ifs and buts in there. So, but we've got ifs and buts about. Just stay with us if you can, Tony, before you head off. because, ifs and buts about who's going to be representing FC Isle of Man tonight in their North West Counties Premier Division fixture against Winsford United. And to find out who is going on, in fact, we'll hand... he's obviously quite not ready for us at the moment, but we'll try to head over down to the bowl and link up with Rob Pritchard if he's not too busy signing autographs and chatting to fans. Over to you, Rob. What do you know about tonight's game?
Thank you, Dave. No autographs inside, but well, it's a nice thought, isn't it? Yes, welcome to the bowl. We are not too long, I guess, from kick-off now. Just have a quick check. Well, exactly 30 minutes from kick-off for this NWCFL Premier Division clash between FC Isle of Man and Winsford United. FC Isle of Man back on home soil after 2 weekends away. One of those, they reaped the rewards getting 3 points at Ashton Athletic, but late heartache last time out at Aidy Moran Park, where a late Matthew Davies goal saw FC Isle of Man go down 1-0 away at Prestwich Hayes. But despite that, there's a real feeling in recent weeks that FC Isle of Man may just be turning a corner, and that all the efforts going in and the transition that the side seems to be going to is starting to come together. Well, we have the team news for both sides. We'll start with the home side, FC Isle of Man, and it is as follows. In goal, number 1, Dean Kearns, and then it's number 2, Carl Clark, number 3, Jacob Crook, number 4, Jack McVeigh, number 5, Alex Maitland, number 6, Owen Sherrod, number 7, Steve Whitley, number 8, Michael Williams, number 9 and the captain, Sean Doyle, number 10, Ronan McDonnell, and number 11 is Charlie Higgins. The substitutes for FC Isle of Man, number 12, Frank Jones, number 14, Dean Leese, number 15, Carl Watson, number 16, Tom Creer, and number 17 is Jamie Corlett. And for the visitors, Winsford United, in goal number 1, Aaron Lyons, and then it's number 2, Matthew Coughlin, number 3, Richard Peters, number 4, Adam Barlow, number 5, and the captain, Stephen Jennings, number 6, Daniel Kerr, number 7, Oliver McDonough, number 8, Gabrielle Mooney Munoz, number 9, Ashley Woods, number 10, Jack Hart, and number 11 is Kevin Exel. The substitutes for Winsford United, number 12, Dylan McMahon, number 14, Elliot Booth, number 15, Benjamin Chesters, number 16, Samuel Keenan, and number 17 is David Short. Your referee this evening is Alexander Phillips, and his assistants are Matty Shaw and Jack Malin. Well, the last time these two teams met was all the way back on the 19th November, and it was one of those days to forget for FC Isle of Man. Winsford United comprehensive winners at the Barton Stadium by 3-0. However, the man who scored all those goals for Winsford United that day, Nathan Cottrell, a hat-trick for him. He's not included in the squad today, nor is their other top scorer. So, possible Winsford United, do they have to maybe just chop and change a little bit? But they do have quality in this side. One name that instantly stood out and that Tony Mepham saw last season, number 8, Gabrielle Mooney Munoz, played for Wythenshawe Amateurs last season. A really tidy midfielder, agile, technically good on the ball. So FC Isle of Man will really have to keep an eye on him. They learned some lessons from coming up against him last season. FC Isle of Man, they're targeting 3 wins in 4 if they can get a result tonight, and depending on results around them in the league this weekend, if they were to win, they could go as many as 10 points clear of the relegation zone going into the final games of March and April in this league season. That would be a lovely cushion for them to have, but it will be a tricky job up against this Winsford United side. They've had a recent boost in form themselves. They're undefeated in their last 4 with 2 wins and 2 draws, and as I previously mentioned, they're comprehensive winners over FC Isle of Man all the way back toward the end of 2022. So, can FC Isle of Man bounce back on home soil, or will Winsford United make it 5 games unbeaten? FC Isle of Man versus Winsford United kick-off here at the Bowl at 6 p.m. We'll have full live match commentary on Manx Radio AM 1368 and digital.
Thank you, Rob Pritchard down at the Bowl. A quick reaction, Tony, to tonight's team news, and also a massive game again for FC Isle of Man.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's massive pressure on them, because I think they've done the job that they needed to do, was just get themselves into a little bit of security. But it's always nice to take points away from a team that's just above you in the league. And if they could get 3 here, then I think that's them pretty well safe. There's a lot of games still to play, but the other teams have got to get points where...
Well, we thought this a while ago. We thought, oh, that's it now, they're pulling away. But they got sucked back in again. And that's the danger, isn't it? Getting sucked back in.
Well, it is, and I think at the moment Paul's got the team playing with confidence. Key players coming back in.
Doyle as captain, yeah.
Frank Jones coming back in there. Luke Murray's played today and scored 2, I'm sure he'll up his training now for FC Alaman. It all just helps him if other players get injured. Obviously, Ben Wilkinson's injured, so he's going to be out for a while. But Dean Kearns comes in tonight, he plays, and James Rice is due to be back in training shortly. So it's all looking good for him.
Right, we've got 2 minutes.
Yep.
Because you've got to get going. There's obviously women's football. It's great to have a full fixtures last week. Yep. Hopefully we'll have full fixtures again tomorrow. Just over around 10 days ago, the FA did trying to introduce more girls coming into football, and it looked a great success. It looked absolutely fantastic. You know, you got 16 new faces down at the Bowl on the Wednesday evening, and hopefully now steps can move forward. Yeah,
it's brilliant. And you were at the meeting when there was 50-odd people there originally. First off, Dave, and her working group was formed, and the Isle of Man FA retain control of women's football, all football on the Isle of Man, and they were comfortable for a working group to be set up. Enthusiastic people there who all want to, sort of have a little bit more of a say and push on football, and we have no problems with that. And it was really nice for 16 new players who possibly haven't played before.
None of them. I don't think any of them had kicked a ball before. But
yeah, and I believe 3 or 4 of them might have gone to a club.
Some have gone to clubs. I know that as already. Yeah,
to try and help them. But what we need to do is encourage the players, Dave, that are already there playing, because I just think they've just maybe lost a little bit of interest. So it's trying to find out how to rejuvenate that interest.
Because I mean, you have a fixture the next day, or you're looking forward all week. All week you're looking forward to playing football on a Sunday, and then the game gets knocked on the head because the other team don't have enough players, and then all of a sudden you start thinking, well, why do I bother? You know, and it becomes, it's a bit of a downhill slope. But it seems though that's being arrested.
Yeah, we're trying hard. We're all sort of working together, and that's the important thing, Dave, is to work together. You know, when you look at games tomorrow, you've got Corinthians against Oncombe, Peel against Maloo, and Castletown against Douglas Royal. Now, Castletown last week, they only had 7 again against Peel. But, Peel just said, right, okay, we'll try and, make it a game just so they can learn. But, it's so difficult because, with your daughter playing, they come in and it's great up until they're about 16, and they keep saying, why can't 15-year-olds play? They can in hockey, like Ben's lot.
But it's the contact sport thing, isn't it?
Do it.
Yeah, that's it. Your hands are tied. Yeah.
And the English FA, aren't budging on it at all.
Okay.
So we've just got to go with what we've got. But it was great to see. Well done to the working group, and just well done to the girls. Everyone who turned up to try something different. And I think they're now going to do another one on the 29th of March, Wednesday night. Just before Easter, and just see if we can get more numbers.
Good. Let's hope this continues. Tony, you really have to get going because you've got a game to cover for us tonight. For FC Isle of Man, thank you to Tony Mepham for your contribution to the programme. And we've got 5 visiting teams to the Isle of Man today. Obviously, FC Isle of Man will be hoping that they can make sure that Winsford United don't do what all the other 4 visiting teams to do today in rugby, and that is take the victory. And to find out exactly what happened today, especially with Winnington Park just beating Douglas, hopefully we can get Dave Christian. There's a little bit of interference on the line, but hopefully you're there for us for Manx Radio. Dave Christian.
I am indeed, Dave, and Douglas did have a very disappointing afternoon. It's the second week in a row they've had a cliched game of 2 halves. Last week they lost the first half and won the second. This week it was the reverse. They led 22-15 at half-time and lost out in the end 22-23. Brinson Elgrove, Bradley Bomar and Sam McCord all went in for tries for Douglas in the first half. Luke Hyland converted 2 out of 3 and added a penalty too. In the second half, though, they were unable to add anything, and the try and a penalty were enough for Winnington Park to take the points. Douglas face Glossop in their final game next Saturday at Portashee. Looking elsewhere in the table, there have been some good news for Douglas again this week. The 2 teams below them in the table, Wilmslow and Broughton Park, both lost. Wilmslow lost at home to Altrincham Kersal, and Broughton Park were thumped 50-22 away at Furwood Waterloo. Now, what all that means is they go into their final match. Douglas have a 9-point buffer. Broughton Park have 3 games yet to play. And could still go past Douglas, as could Wilmslow. So Douglas have Glossop next week. They're directly above them in the table. If they can beat Glossop at Portashee, happy days. They're probably going to be safe. But if it relies on Broughton Park and Wilmslow to do their closing fixtures, it might be a different story. Wilmslow have to play Anselmians away. Anselmians are the unbeaten league leaders. And Wilmslow also have to go away to Glossop. Broughton Park have 3 games left. They've got Glossop at Broughton Park, so Glossop is a common denominator here. They also have Altrincham Kersal at Broughton Park, and they have Birkenhead Park at Broughton Park in the remaining 3 fixtures. But I think if Douglas pick up some points against Glossop, it should be enough for them. But they are still sitting reasonably comfortably. In Counties 3, ADM, Lancashire and Cheshire, though, the story's a little bit different. Vagabonds are bottom. They only have a 3-point buffer. Promotion and relegation hasn't yet been decided from this league. There may not be any relegation depending on what happens in the league below, which is the entry league to the system. If that league collapses through lack of entries, Vagabonds could well hold station. But they are bottom of the table. They've only won 2 from 17. This afternoon, it looked like they might be on the cusp of something special. At half-time, they were trailing by 2 points, 17-19. And it took Hoylake a lot of effort in the second half to finally come out winners 45-17. I've had that corrected from 43-17, which is how we initially reported it. There's an extra conversion in there. A Cam Finley penalty gave Vaggers the early lead this afternoon. Hoylake hit back quickly, though. There were tries from Sean Jardine, James McAnally and Jake Woods, and 2 Jack Jones conversions. And that saw them 19-3 ahead with half-time looming. Vagabonds forwards earned a penalty try in the closing stages of the first half, and in the final play of the first half, Cam Finley intercepted and converted his own try to leave it a 2-point game. In the second half, though, Hoylake piled on the points. Woods and McAnally both ran in their second of the match, and there were also scores from Johnny Webster and Matthew Ross, with Jones adding a further 3 conversions. In the ladies, it was Halifax were the visitors at Bella Fletcher, and they won 39-22 with a strong second half showing after the teams turned around 10-10 at half-time. Faye Burnill put Halifax in front after 10 minutes. Sophie Henry then levelled for Vagabonds 5 minutes later. Rebecca Sharples went in for Halifax on the half hour, and tit for tat, Sophie Henry went in for her second 3 minutes later to level the scores. Early in the second half, Sarah Warburton finished off a Rebecca Sharples break for Halifax. Lucy Cochrane converted. They were 17-10 in front and never really looked back. Cochrane then created a score for scrum half Amy Jones that extended the lead. Rebecca O'Neill pulled one back for Vagabonds, her first try for Vaggers this afternoon. That reduced the deficit. Sammy McDonald converted and there was just 1 try in it. But as the half wore on, tries from Francesca Sacco and Natalia Lang removed all doubt. Corinna Daly went in for a late try for Vagabonds, but that was little more than a consolation. And in the final game of the afternoon at the Murrock Park, there was a bit of a try-fest. 70 points to 31 was the final score. It was Ramsey Reds, Western Vikings and Eastern Barbarians, and they all combined for the high-scoring affair. Ramsey's tries came via an Ed Knight hat-trick, plus tries from Conor McCucken and Matthew Meakin, with Joey Callow converting 3. Connor Casey picked up 5 for Vikings. Kieran Neal and Josh Catine got 2 apiece, and there were supporting scores from Ollie Creasy, Jack Richmond and Luke Ward. Aaron McPhee converted 3 and Harry Goodwin converted 2. And one final game on the card was an under-15s friendly, Vagabonds and Winnington Park, that was played as a curtain raiser down at Portachee, and the visitors took that one as well. Final score down there, Vagabonds under-15s 36, Winnington Park under-15s 67.
Manx Radio Sport.
My thanks there to Dave Christian. I was on the flight over from Manchester this morning at 7 o'clock, and most of the Winnington Park, Hoylake were on that flight, and also the Vaggers women's team as well. And incredible that they obviously, I mean, Halifax. The Vaggers women's team, the Halifax team to play Vagabonds, the fact they come from Halifax to get a flight from 7 o'clock at Manchester, and you know how early you have to get there through security and everything, and then come to the Isle of Man and win. So well done to the visiting teams today. Obviously not easy travelling here, but was worth it. I mean, obviously we want the home guys and girls to win, but yeah, not to be. But thanks again to Dave Christian for that report. We move on to hockey, Ben. Was that you clearing your throat then? But
It might have been.
No, it was me. Okay, we've got to start with the Ladies Premier League, and Castletown drawing 1-1 at Vikings.
Yeah, that makes that league really interesting. So coming into that game, Castletown A against Vikings A, there was 1 point between them. Castletown A were 1 point ahead of Vikings A, and it still remains that a 1-1 draw. Danny Coombs for Vikings A and Amy Seller with for the goal for Castletown A. Mixed reports, really. Both teams have said they had their chances where they just sadly couldn't finish them. But I think 1-1 really shows how close that game was, and I had a feeling it was going to be close, and I was very brave with Rob. I did say I thought Castletown A might do it again, but no, 1-1 draw. I think fair result there.
Had Castletown lost?
Had Castletown lost, then it would have gone the other way around. So Vikings A would then be top of the league, and Castletown would be second.
So that's how close it is.
Yeah, it's 1 point. So one slip up by Castletown, one slip up by Vikings. That could be the league decided.
How much do we have left of the...
I think we've got, off the top of my head, 4 or 5 weeks to go.
Okay. Plenty to play
for
then.
Plenty.
Yeah.
It's all starting to come very close now.
Brilliant. Valkyries, though, no problem seeing off Castletown B.
Yeah, this was a must-win game for both teams, and Valkyries have really made sure they got the points today. And this now puts Castletown now bottom of the league. Both these teams came into this game level on points, level on goal difference, so everything was riding on this game. Rebecca Plate with 2, Imogen Manning with 2, Ellen Cleater with 1, Andrea Littlejohn with 1, and Leanne Prescott with a goal.
Okay, we'll move on to the Men's Premier League, and something of a surprise, a 0-0. Don't see that very often.
You don't see that often in the Premier League, and we've got one.
Vikings and Castletown.
Between Vikings and Castletown. So, a very close game, and that really has opened the gap a bit more at the top of this league for the reigning champions, and we'll get to that result shortly.
Okay, Valkyries beating Backers B 3-0.
Yeah, Valkyries were ahead of Backers B in the league in here, and they've very much kept their form up. Chris Thomas, Chris Adams, and Chris Cartwell. I thought Valkyries were having me on when I got that through, but no, Chris Thomas, Chris Adams, and Chris Cartwell with goals each for Valkyries.
And some breaking news: Amy Sellers for Castletown.
Yes. Amy Sellers.
Okay, brilliant. So Backers against Ramsey, 10-1.
10-1. I covered this game on Saturday Live. 1-0 at half-time, though, to Backers. Ramsey really put a very strong effort in the first half, but then Tide legs started kicking in the second half, and Backers just stepped it up another level. Andy Whiting with 4, Johnny Callow with 3, Elliot Reid with 1, Jamie Brown with 1, and Kieran Ledgwick with 1. And then for Ramsey, it was Ed Fields.
So, just touching on, it's a bit of an obvious point, but again, fitness is pretty much, not everything, but it's crucial.
When you look at the leagues, the Premier League, that's the league where you've got to have everything spot on, because the higher teams in this league will punish you, and it's quite clear there. Backers A, it was only 1-0 at half time, but second half they stepped it up. So at half time, they must have gathered together and gone, look, we need to step this up, and they did, and they come out absolutely on fire in the second half. But yeah, the Premier League, it's very demanding on fitness.
Just had another breaking message coming through about the Ladies Premier table. I don't know how true this is, but it says Castletown a 3-point gap at the top, as it doesn't include Wednesday night game, which. And I don't have the rest of the message on that, so
it does. Yes, right. So I stand corrected. So yeah, thank you to the text who's sent that through. Castletown had a rearranged game midweek. Okay. So yeah, that's now them 3 points clear at the top.
There you go.
So there you go. My stats are wrong.
That's okay, but thank you for it, and it shows somebody's out there listening, which is always
It's
good.
nice to know
It's
people
nice
are
to know
listening.
that someone's out there. On to Ladies Division 1, the early game, the early push-off was a Valkyries B 3-0 win at Vikings B. Against Vikings B, I should say.
I umpired this game, and it was a really close game. Could have gone either way, but Valkyries got the win. Lauren Kenyuk with a goal, Steph Cottier and Kate Dawn with goals for Valkyries.
Backers B beat Ramsey 6-2.
Yeah, this is quite a shock, really, because Ramsey were, if my stats are right, I might get another text message here saying they're wrong. Ramsey were second, and they were really keeping the chase up.
Mm-hmm.
But Backers B have really made a statement here. Donna Harrison with 3, Claire Mason with 2, and Leah Mellor with a goal for Backers B. And Christina Kameen with 2 goals for Ramsey B. But that really now opens the gap at the top of this league following the next result we're going to talk about.
Well, I don't have that result. Harlequins against Backers C.
And that was a 10-0 win for Harlequins A. Harlequins A are really flying, and this it looks like maybe this year could be their year to get into the Premier League. They've worked so hard, and I know that training, they putting the effort in, and that Rachel Middleton with 4, Anna Hall with 2, Emily Middleton with 1, Molly Swales with 1, Amelia Batty with 1, and Maisie Crellin with a goal.
Okay, we've got some results to get in. We've got about 4 minutes to go. So we'll go on to Harlequins beating their B team 12-1 in Men's Division 1.
Yep, Ronan Santantolia with 5, Oren Blakemore with 3, Ewan Wiley with 1, Callum Crellin with 1, Tom Hurd with 1, Alfie Swales with 1 for the A team, and then for the B team it was some fella called Ben Cunningham.
Okay, Vikings B against Valkyries B.
4-2 win for Vikings B against Valkyries B. Cameron Room with 2, Ben Dougal with 1, Alex Birch with 1 for Vikings, and then for Valkyries it was Kieran Gale and Mike Fowles.
And in Ladies Division 2, a 3-1 win for Castletown D over Valkyries C.
And that keeps Castletown D at the top of the league. Isla Collister, Fern Bagazzi and Rachel Webb's goal for Castletown D. And then for Valkyries it was Michelle Poyser.
And Castletown C against Viking C.
1-0 win for Castletown C, so they keep the pressure up on their D team, and Kira Cooper with the goal.
Men's Division 2, 4-2 victory for Castletown B over Backers Colts.
Yep, Christian Stereopoulos with 3, Al Ledge with 2, with 1, and for Backers Colts it was Will Wiseman and Doug Quayle.
Mixed Under-15s League, Harlequins with a 5-0 victory against Vikings.
Yes, I have the goal scorers. I've missed that message.
Well, we can come back.
Come back to that one.
Backers with a 4-0 win over Castletown Sharks.
Ross Grimsby with 2, Alice Kineen with 1, and Abs Maddox with 1.
Valkyries against Castletown Sabres was the late one.
And that was a 7-4 win for Valkyries. I have the Valkyries goal scorers, and that was Liam Harrison with 3, Amber Buchanan with 2, and Ryan Thomas with 2. And I will have the goal scorers.
So the goal scorers for Harlequins in their 5-0 victory in the mixed Under-15s League against Vikings.
It's going through messages.
Okay. I'll just play some music. And then, while you're looking for that, you can maybe just quickly talk about what's going on off the island this weekend.
Yep, so our under-18s girls had a rearranged game in the Tier 2 plate. Last week, they went away, and unfortunately they got there and found the pitch was frozen, so it got called off the game. So it got rearranged, and they went away last weekend. It finished 2-2. And they won it on flicks 2-1.
Wow.
So they're now into the quarterfinals where they meet. When they meet Alton and West Warwickshire girls under 18s, and this kicks off tomorrow at 3:30. So the girls are travelling tomorrow morning. So we really do wish them all the best because it's going to be such an achievement if they can make it into the semi-finals. And I really do hope that they do, because after the result last time where they came basically 2-2 and then won it on flicks, it shows that the Isle of Man really does.
It'll be a journey home, that. Yeah.
Oh, it'll be a journey home, definitely.
Brilliant.
But yeah, and I can't find the message.
Okay,
with the scores,
the scores,
yeah.
the Harlequins. Okay, unfortunate. So yeah, Ben, thank you so much for your time. A big
worries.
weekend of hockey next week as well, is there?
Yeah, more fixtures. League's really starting to take shape now. Coming down to the promotion and the relegation battles.
Exactly. So, okay. Ben, thank you so much again for your time and contributing to Manx Radio's Saturday Sport Classified. But that's almost it from me. It's time to head down to Rob Pritchard at the Bowl for tonight's live coverage of FC Isle of Man against Winsford United.
Manx Radio Sport.